Sisters bonafide. Sisters bonafide. Sisters bonafide. I got my sister and me.
Right. So what's up, girl? What we got for the family today?
So today, we're going to talk about a topic that I feel like is very close to both of us, and it's very important. It doesn't get talked about enough. And it's basically about how women, and particularly women of color, are, face abuse or, some form of attack by men who do not accept their advances. Like if they're outside and they get catcalled, and a woman decides not to accept their advances, it either leads to harassment, discrimination at some points, but also abuse and some form of attack against that woman. So this is obviously something that is very important, and is something that needs to be discussed because there are so many women who go through this on a daily basis. And thankfully, there are some women it doesn't escalate to that point. But there are others who are just simply minding their businesses and walking down the street, getting to where they need to go, and they're catcalled by men. And, it can ultimately lead to violence if they don't accept their advances. So that's what we're talking about today.
It's kind of like this idea transformed from a TikTok that you saw, which we will insert right now.
The beautiful young lady in the screenshot is 27-year-old Mary Spears. In 2014, Mary attended a party where she was approached by a 38-year-old man named Mark Dortch. He asked for her name and phone number, and she declined, stating that she could not talk to him because she had a man. Mark continued to harass her throughout the duration of the party, which ultimately led to him being kicked out. Around 2 o'clock that morning when Mary left, Mark was outside and he approached her again. A confrontation ensued, and Mark shot Mary 3 times, twice in the head, and injuring 5 other people. Mary left behind a host of family and friends, a fiance, and 1, 4, and 8-year-old sons. And I'm sure, like myself, many of you will find affinity in her story because you've been through similar circumstances. It's just unfortunate that she did not survive this incident and that it resulted in violence in the first place. And sadly, there is nothing unique about her story either. This is 29-year-old Janice Talton Jackson, who was killed after rejecting a man's sexual advances at a bar. This is 22-year-old college student Tierra Poyu. Forgive me if the pronunciation is incorrect. She was shot in the face by a man after she declined to dance with him in broad daylight at a festival. This is 22-year-old Lakia Walker, who was attacked by a man after she didn't thank him for holding a door. This is 23-year-old comedian Paris Sachet, who was attacked by a group of men and woke up in the hospital with a broken nose after she declined their advances. I'm sure many of you have heard that you should just give a fake number, give a Google number, give your actual number and block them later. Just say no smiling, just say no like this, just hee hee ha ha, say you have a man. The problem is not us. The problem is them. And at some point, I'm hoping that our community can acknowledge and eliminate the catcalling and harassment that women face every single day.
And first of all, the video, as you guys just saw, was told from the perspective of another Black woman. And I think that resonated with me because no one can understand what this certain demographic goes through other than an actual person of this group. So that resonated with me. And the fact that every one of the women that she spoke about were within they were young women in their 20s who were literally just either out enjoying their social life or just doing what they do outdoors, and they've been attacked because they just didn't accept these men's certain men's advances and whatnot, or their catcalling. They didn't accept it, and it's triggering to me because although I thank God, have not been subject to that kind of abuse in that way. I have been catcalled as a young woman growing up in New York City. It happens all the time. But it's an innate fear of mine that it could possibly lead to something violent because I don't accept their advances. So it kind of, it's a little disheartening because it's like, you want to just go about your day, but you always have to kind of keep in the back of your mind that these things happen and they're not talked about enough. And I feel like, although I don't want to segue too much, but I just feel like overall Black women in particular just are not protected enough, especially even by our own Black men. I'm just going to keep it real. It's most of the time. Like, it's just what it is. And, you know, it's unfortunate. So I think that that's something that resonated with me about this video.
I think that, like, growing up too, I've experienced it, not to the degree in which these ladies have experienced. Not every woman in the video that she talked about lead to, like, you know, unfortunately the end of their life. But I think most women have, like, who have been in this situation have gotten disrespected. You know what I'm saying? I've definitely been the victim of, like, massive disrespect just for even with saying no thank you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I've witnessed escalated situations. Like, I've witnessed a young lady, not so much like older now as an older woman, but more as a teenager. I've literally witnessed you know, this young man trying to, what you want to say, holla at this young lady. And she was polite. She said, no, thank you. Like, I'm in a relationship. And he pushed her. Like, he literally, like, he didn't say anything else, but just pushed her, like, across, like, the whole sidewalk.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, this is such a real thing. And there's so many other bigger things that go on in the world. But these day-to-day struggles, as living as a woman of color, you know, Black woman, Hispanic woman, you know what I'm saying? And it's hard because, like, why do we have to be submissive? To compromise. You have to compromise on your self-respect. You have to compromise on your right to say no. You have to compromise on not being okay with something. Like, why can't we just say no?
Exactly.
You know, I've seen a lot of people in the comments, and it's funny because a lot of those comments were coming from men, you know, just, you know, to avoid. But why?
Exactly.
Why can't my no just be no and you leave it at that?
Right, exactly.
Why can't it just be left at that? Where is the accountability? Where's the accountability for the men? Why do women constantly, especially women of color, constantly have to readjust and compromise on what make us a woman? What our right to reject something if we don't want it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I completely hear you, and I totally agree with you. Why can't no be enough? It should just be enough. And like we said last night when we were talking about this topic, it also hits home with me too, because I feel like this started even well before, just for me personally, growing up as a young Black girl. This started for me as a kid, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Like, as a kid, I was taught to, there were certain things that, like, I couldn't do because of me being a Black child that, like, maybe a white little girl could do. So, for example, I couldn't wear my hair down, like, just down and out. Like, it had to be braided up because of this notion that if you're a Black little girl, you're automatically, I guess, there's this level of hypersexualization that comes with, or like this adultification kind of thing that comes with being a little girl, a Black little girl. And if you look, quote unquote, too grown, oh, you know, you look too grown. Like, why, you know, you shouldn't be wearing your hair down. It should always be braided. Or we couldn't wear hoop earrings. I couldn't wear hoop earrings as a kid because I looked too grown. Or even wearing like a red lip, like as a kid. No, you're not going to do that because you look too grown. Like, so I said that to say that I feel like Black girls in particular, I can only speak for myself, but we've always been taught to behave in these parameters in order to not, you know, be subject to things like this. So we can kind of stay out of the view of pedophiles or of men who, as we get older, of men who just don't want the best interest for us, or just people in general who will hypersexualize us.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we go through life with these parameters, and knowing that, you know, understanding like, okay, if we don't do these things, and we can stay clear of abuse and, you know, discrimination, all that other stuff. But then you get out into the world and you learn that no matter, you could have a trash bag over your head.
Yes.
And you will, if someone deems to you, for you to be a target of their abuse, you're going to be that target. Yes. And that's the sad part. So it's like, just to touch upon what you said earlier, which I think is a great point. Like, where is the accountability for the men? Why are the little girls only, it seems like we're the ones that's only being taught to be within these parameters and to behave a certain way. Yeah. But like, are we teaching the boys this, the little like young boys growing up to be grown men, this kind of thing? Because it seems as though they can just do whatever they want, and we have to be the recipients of their behavior, and that's not fair.
That's right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Is that I think that above all resonates for me, because I know as a kid, that's how I was brought up. And, you know, to see it now, to see it unfold now, it's like, well, none of that even matters. Like, I could literally, like I said, wear a trash bag, and that does not protect me from being catcalled or being possibly abused out here. Like, that's just what it is.
Exactly. And I think it's sad, because I think it puts a lot of women in a position to be scared to say no, which is such a problem. Like, you know, not every woman is as bold as maybe we are, or right. You know, as unafraid maybe as we've learned to be or grew up to be.
Right.
And it's really sad that a woman would be put in a position where she would even, you know, accept, even if she didn't want to, or put herself in an uncomfortable position just because she's afraid of what the outcome could be. And that's really, really, really sad. I think we know that for a fact. Like, come on, so many women put themselves in uncomfortable and scary situations that I think they themselves don't really want to be in.
Right.
Because you're worried about what's going to come with saying no or rejection. But now that we talk about this, it really makes me think of something, right? And of course, when we say certain things, we don't speak on we're not speaking for men, and we're not speaking about every man.
Right.
You know, this is just an opinion, and not every man is the same.
No, exactly. Right.
But I sit here and I think men are more emotional than they lead off to be. Men tend to not want to deal. Men tend to not taught from young to not deal with their emotions. So what does this transpire to be from boy to man?
Right.
So now, why are you put in a position as a man? Like, where do we go wrong? Where does society go wrong? Where does it come in when a man will result to lashing out from rejection? Right. At what point does that come with the fact that I don't think men tend to their emotions enough? Because it's something as simple as a woman saying no, put you from 0 to 100. That is a problem. And where do we break the stigma that men are not meant or made to feel or deal with their emotions so that they can self-regulate?
Right.
And be okay with rejection, because ego and entitlement can be scary.
Yeah.
So, you know, we really got to think about, you know, and even as parents raising young boys who eventually turn into men, you really have to think about but fathers, you know, don't teach your child, particularly your son, your boy, to feel a sense of ego or entitlement over a woman.
That's right.
Because then he does not know how to respect the woman when she says no.
Exactly.
There's no reason why somebody should be going from 0 to 100 because they don't get their way like a child.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. That's a great point.
So where's the accountability? Where's the transition, if any, of men like dealing with their emotions and tending to their emotions, and parents doing better with raising boys and breaking the stigma that a man is stronger than a woman, that a man is more entitled than a woman because of he's an alpha or whatever the case is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Teaching boys to respect a woman and be okay and make them understand rejection from young. You know what I'm saying? If we teach kids, listen, you might go for a job you might not get. You might go for a show you might not get. You might go for whatever you might not get. You may go for a woman you may not get.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It's a lot that comes with like an ego. It's a lot that comes with entitlement. It's a lot that comes with the men really taking the time to embrace mental health and feeling emotions and dealing with emotions.
Yes.
Because a lot of men don't deal with their emotions.
It's
so then
true.
what that means, you got a right to just be lashing out whenever something doesn't go your way.
It's true.
Not that women don't do it either, but we're in this particular we're talking about the dynamic from a woman to a man's
exactly.
So
exactly.
It's crazy.
No, that what you said is true. And I feel like I think what you mentioned about the egotistical part is huge, because yes, they, men don't, I think boys aren't necessarily, like you said, taught to deal with their emotions and understand and listen that rejection is a part of life. But this level of hierarchy is really unbearable at this day and age, because at the end of the day, it's been proven that like women can do exactly what men can do and vice versa. So why did this sense of, like you said, superiority and hierarchy is damaging to the community? Like it's not helpful. It's destructive. And the fact that men are not checking other men when they see this stuff happening in their groups.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Preach it.
It's like, you have to, I'm not talking, because I'm just keep it 100%. Like, unless it's a child that's involved, I try not to get involved if like there are people just arguing on the street, like, because sometimes you could help somebody and then they be like, what you, like, I didn't. So you try to mind your business, especially in New York City, you got to mind your business. But if it's within your group of people that you deal with on a regular basis, and you see your homie going up to this woman and she doesn't like him or whatever the case is, and he's still forcing himself upon her, and you can tell that it's starting to get a little bit more and more aggressive, when in your mind, as this person's friend, as this man's friend, do you say, yo, son, like, come on, she ain't trying to have it, like, leave her alone. There's plenty of other fish in the sea. Like, so when, just going back to the accountability and that ego part of things, like when do men check other men to be like, nah, like I gotta pull your card because you're doing the most right now. Is it worth you not only humiliating this woman, but humiliating yourself in this aspect, like, because you're really being disrespectful. So when does that happen? Like you said, we gotta hold people accountable, but at one point, like you said, when does that disconnect happen? And I think part of it, especially for men to not check other men, is a huge issue, because we all lose ourselves and we get like our ego gets the better of us, and I know we're all guilty of it, but to be at the receiving end of that as a woman who may be defenseless or by themselves. And if you think about it too, Steffi, like there are instances where this tends to happen when men are in groups.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen when men are alone, but to me, the ego is just higher when they're in groups, because they feel like they can do what they want to do and ain't nobody gonna check them, right?
I've been in it each time a man was in front of his boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's like, when do we grow up and understand, like, listen, like you said, not everything is going to go your way. And, women can respond how they want to respond. And at the end of the day, you tuck your tail between your legs and keep it pushing. Like, it's not that deep. Why do you have to resort to to violence. So check your partners. That's all I'm gonna say. And be realistic.
And again, not to say it's every single man, or not to say there's every man out there, because this is not a, we don't come on here, we don't bash men, but this is facts. Like, exactly. And any real man could agree that this is a fact.
Come on, exactly. Because there are men who do it. Like, I'm not, like you said, we're not saying that all men are like this, because we have men that will check other men, like, yo, calm down, like, you ain't got to do all that. But and maybe this
could jump on board,
huh?
But more men need to jump on.
More men need to, like, come on, hold your partners accountable. Like, come on and check them when they need to be checked. So I don't know, but it's just
because you can't even say, like, I feel like as parents, we got to do the best we can. And it's like, you can't even say, oh, who raised you or anything like that. You could come from the most respectful home, and if you feel away, or you a show off or anything like that, or you just turn out to be different than, what your parents have instilled in you, it has nothing to do with, not all, sometimes it does.
Yeah, sometimes
it does have to do with the way you're raised.
Of course.
What I'm saying? But sometimes it doesn't. So it's just like, at that point, like, as a man, forget about what you weren't taught, if not taught as a boy. But as a man, just, take accountability. And, for a man, I hate, listen, I'm not a disrespectful kind of person unless I feel disrespected. There's some I've witnessed a man politely, right, approaching a woman, you're beautiful or whatever, and asking a woman straight up, be like, cursing a mountain, all of that.
That's another thing, right?
You know what I'm saying? So that's like a little bit different, in terms of like, But I say that to say, at the end of the day, you could feel like homegirl was disrespectful, why she had to do all that. But it should never escalate to you putting your hands on a woman.
No, not at all.
I don't care if it turns you to the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, if you don't put your hands on nobody if you don't want to get put hands back. It takes a strong man to because women put hands on men too.
That is true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like at the end of the day, if somebody didn't physically come in your space or disrespect you, it doesn't matter how she responded. Just keep it sweet. Can we normalize just letting it go?
Exactly.
Let it go. Stop it.
Exactly. It's a gamble. Right?
Yeah.
When you talking to somebody, it can either go your way or it doesn't have to.
That's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? But see, in the mind of an egotistical person, it's not a gamble. It's gonna go their way or it's not. You know what I'm saying? So that's the issue.
Yeah.
But Steffi, what just popped into my mind, and it's a simple thought. Like, I wish that men who practice this would think about it in terms of, what if a man was doing this to your mother, to your daughter, to your sisters, to like any woman, any young girl that means anything to you? What would you feel if a man did that to somebody that means something to you?
Yes.
Like, you wouldn't want that to happen. The person that you're putting hands on because they said no to you is somebody's daughter. It's somebody's sister, somebody's aunt, whatever. So that person means something to somebody. So you wouldn't want that to happen. So kind of take yourself out the situation for a second and understand that the what you're doing could easily happen to somebody that you love, and you wouldn't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Keep it pushing. So, girl, it's crazy. But I was going to ask you, because I know we talked about this last night. You have brought up a situation about a woman who has a certain living. You want to go into that?
Yeah. So I had came across a video and I wish I would have saved it, but I didn't know we were going to be talking about this at that time. I came across a video of a woman who is what she calls herself a sugar baby.
Right. Okay.
She accepts sexual advances for cash compensation. Well, many may call a prostitute, right?
Right.
Let's keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but out of respect for her own title. So she put up a video saying how she feels that along the line, so you know how she has been put in dangerous situations because she rejected in advance.
Right.
Although this is her type of work, it doesn't mean that she's open to any and everybody who wants her. So basically, she was saying she still deserves, as a woman, no matter what her profession is, to demand that kind of respect. And when she says, like, her no means no.
Right.
So you had, you know, which I'm just going to state the claim right here, right now. I don't care what a woman does. I don't care what her profession is.
That's right.
If she does not want you, she doesn't want you.
That's right.
I do not care, because then it goes along the lines of like, if your shirt cut too low, you asking for attention. If your dress cut too short, you asking for attention. So we can, so if you dress like that or you do certain things, then you should expect it and you shouldn't be able to say nothing. No.
That's right.
Because I still have a right to say no.
That's right. Exactly.
But you had people in the comment section saying, oh, you know, well, this is the job you do. This is the attention you seek. This is the attention you attract to yourself. So you got to expect it. And, you know, you can't blame a man for thinking he could do this because you present yourself as easy or whatever the case is. So, you know, it's like a very, very touchy subject, because, you know, you have a woman who's not wrapped up in a profession like that, who lives her day to day dealing with these battles, and she does actually everything in her power to not try to attract that kind of attention.
Right, exactly.
It's still a struggle. And as for these young ladies who were literally just doing regular day-to-day stuff, lost their lives for saying no, some people might feel like you really can't speak on behalf of somebody who is in that position, because you willingly put yourself in a position to have somebody forced upon you or in a dangerous situation.
Exactly.
I don't know what you think, girl.
It doesn't make it right. I do hear, like, I would say that, like you said, you know, no woman should have to be subjected to any kind of violence. If they say no is no, it means no. But I agree with what you're saying in terms of, you know, women who don't put themselves in that position. They're the one, you know, they're also being subject to this violence, and in some instances, you know, to their death. And it's not the same. Like, it's not apples to apples. This is kind of apples to oranges, in my opinion, because it's, you know, you know the risks involved in this situation. Everything comes with a risk or a reward. The reward in the good term is that, you know, she's getting these luxurious, you know, materialistic things, going on vacations and all that stuff. But then there's also a risk involved, because you could possibly come across somebody who is, you know, does not have your best interests at heart and will try to hurt you or God forbid, kill you.
Right. But
we can't say that there's a risk or a reward involved for someone like you and me that's just walking down the street trying to get to point A to B. What's the risk in that? Like, why should there be a risk in somebody just doing day-to-day things and living their lives to their, you know, doing what they need to do? We're not putting ourselves in that position. It doesn't, and I know we said this, Steffi, it doesn't make it right. Nobody's saying that it's that because you're in this situation, you deserve X, Y, and Z. That's not what we're saying.
It's not.
But every life comes with risk and reward. Like, that's just what it is. And if you're putting yourself in this position, you have to realize that there will be some type of risk involved, and this is it. So, you know,
and you have to also understand that somebody may not see you as victimized as a woman who is not putting herself in that situation.
Exactly.
Girl,
It's not the same thing, and it's a real thing. And I'm happy that you brought that up, because this is a real situation in this time. Yes, it's called something more luxurious, but I mean, when we was coming up back in by the Gowanus Canal, like it was prostitutes. Like, that's just what it is. Like, and I'm sorry, but
it's no shade.
Call a spade a spade. Yeah, exactly. You gotta call a spade, and that's just what it is. So we can kind of glamorify it and all that stuff, but it is what it is. But it's like you have to understand that this is the territory that you're in. You know what I'm saying? Like, a firefighter knows that, listen, I'm saving lives, but I could also lose mine too. That the reward is saving lives, but the risk is I might lose my own life. So that's what it is. But, you know, when it comes to a chosen profession versus someone who is just, you know, staying out of that world and doing their own thing and you know, not trying to be seen in that way, and they still get, you know, attacked. Like, it's not, so it just shows that, yes, is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and kudos to women who can do that, and who find no reason to stop doing it. That's your thing. If that's what you want to do to earn a living, more power to you. All I say is just be safe and know what you're getting yourself into. That's all I can say.
Be safe. But listen, yes, and you guys watching, let us know. Let us know your opinions. If there's any men watching, let us know, you know, if you agree or disagree with anything. And as women, let us know in the comments if you have ever experienced something like this, you know, to any extent, other than saying, okay, no problem.
Exactly.
You know, so
yes,
another good one.
This is another good one. And just to piggyback off what you said, like, if there's anybody who have experienced this and you want to come on and have like a little part 2 to this, and you want to, if you say like, listen, I'm not feeling what y'all saying, come talk to us. We're open to having healthy discussions about this, and we want to bring more light to these types of situations because they're not talked about enough. So come on and join us.
And don't forget to do what, Ev? Like, comment.
To like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Ding!
It's official! Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Ding! Sistas Bonafide.